Good evening, YouTube. It's such a marvelous evening. It's just unbelievable. I can't believe how the skies are just nice and clear and a nice temperature. Marvelous to be outside. Even it's 10:45 now, and it's just marvelous out there. And it we had a very nice day. It started out 60 and got up to 80. It'll be that way tomorrow again too. And all of the flowers are just blooming out everywhere, and the roses and everything just coming to full bloom, and all the leaves are about halfway out on all the trees, and going to have marvelous shade. It's just a marvelous good spring here in Texas this year. We've just had a really good one and a real productive one, and I'm just overjoyed about it. But I just feel that the energy it just I can't believe the inexhaustible energy that I have. It's just really has not that much to do with the spring, but that helps. But it's just such a marvelous energy that just keeps me going constantly all the time with strength and with joy and with a great solid type of peace, a more solid peace than I can even believe. I mean, it's just a solid, substantive peace, and just an overwhelming, flowing joy. And when I read Matthew 17:22, it says Jesus was transfigured, and he was changed to where his garments were whiter. It said in one place it says whiter than the fuller's white, and another place it says his garments were brighter than the noonday sun, and he shined, and his face shone brighter than the noonday sun as he was transfigured. He was transfigured and revealed as being completely made out of light, completely made out of energy and light. And sometimes I feel like I'm just starting to transfigure, because it's just so much energy and light seemingly just flowing everywhere. And I know I'm not transfigured in the sense that Jesus is, but I just feel like that power and that energy, it makes me, in other words, understand something about what that verse is saying, because I feel like if we gain enough energy and enough of this immortal power, which infinite mind is pouring out upon us, that we can begin to completely to transform our circumstances, and we can completely, if not our appearance, it's going to affect our appearance some, but we can certainly transform our health, and we can certainly transform the way we feel all day long, and we can avoid those down periods and those down cycles, and we can avoid so much in the way of stress and strain, and we can maintain so much more interest in life. And so it's just a marvelous thing, because it takes a whole lot of energy to enjoy life. Have you ever noticed that if you begin your energy, I have to think a long ways back in order to be able to remember when I didn't have a lot of energy. But back before I learned the truths that I know now, way back when I was would still be susceptible to down periods, because I was still listening to what people around me saying, rather than just concentrating on what the actual truth is. Well, then I would occasionally experience these down periods that would I would feel low energy, and I'd feel like, well, I didn't have a lot of interest in things, and I couldn't do some things I may not be able to do. But then once I realized the truth, it's like you can do anything, and your energy goes from morning till evening. You never have that down period in the afternoons or anything. And so it's just a marvelous thing. But how do we get this energy like this that will give us the power to enjoy life every day? How do we get the energy to enjoy life? The energy that's so needed to enjoy life, that substantive energy, that energy that never gives out, that inexhaustible energy. I read years ago, I read a book called by a guy called Charlie Tremendous Jones, and he talked about how that he would do things like he would when most people were walking, he would run, or when most people were sitting, he would stand, and when most people were walking, he would run, and it would always be doing something which expressed that energy. He was always in expressing that energy, and he was always declaring that he had tremendous energy. And there was a lot of things like this where he would always think about what is the most energetic thing to do and what is the most outgoing thing to do, the most gregarious thing to do, and the most outspoken and the most just exuberant thing to do. What is the most exuberant thing to do? And then that's what I'll do. And what requires the most exercise rather than the least exercise. Run, don't walk, and stand, don't sit, and all those kinds of things. Well, that kind of stayed with me. And even though I don't do all those kinds of things, I remember that amount of energy that a person can actually have, and it's inspiring to know that a person can have that kind of energy where they can just run all day long and never run out of energy. But how do we get this kind of energy that we can do so many things, and that we can go all day long, never have a down period? We if we really stop and realize what the truth is actually telling us when it said, and we know that John 8:32 says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." And we know that Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth give unto you." And he said, "These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and your joy might be full." Well, we know that these are infinite substances, because Jesus would only give and only leave infinite substances. And so we know by that then, and we have to realize that and raise our awareness to that joy is an infinite substance that goes from everlasting to everlasting and fills the entire universe. That tremendous joy. I mean, I'm talking about great joy, tremendous joy, shouting joy, is infinite substance, and it is given to us as a gift. And also that solid peace that he said he leaves with us, which was above anything that the world could possibly give, even with all of its substance and all of its wealth. This peace was above everything that the world could give us, and he left that with us also as a free gift. And so what we have to do three things. One, we've got to raise our awareness to realize that this type of joy and this type of peace actually exists in the first place. Because you can't move towards what you don't believe exists. So we have to raise our awareness to realize just how inexhaustible joy and energy and peace and all these things are, and that they actually do exist. And so then the second thing that we have to do is begin to raise our level of acceptance to where we feel like that we have room, or we have the ability, or we have the belief level that we can accept those things into our life, that we can say, well, I'm not going to be turned off by people that have a lot of joy, and express a lot of excitement, and go around smiling all the time and having joy, and I'm not going to be turned off by that, and realize and think of that as a stupid person, or feel threatened by someone that is always upbeat all the time, and think that it's just a Pollyannish attitude. But I will, instead of doing that, I will stop and think about what is producing that. And so we raise our level of acceptance to begin to receive an overabundant joy, and decide that we can receive it. And then the solid peace. And so where does the solid peace come from? Is there such a thing as a solid peace that goes from everlasting to everlasting? Is as solid as a giant rock that never moves, that is always there? And once we find it, that we'll always have a solid composure and peace, and a relaxed feeling, because this is one of the things that goes with it. You've got to be able to get that solid relaxation in order to really allow the joy to flow, and to really have the peace to flow and all that. You've got to be able to really rest upon we've got to relax on the facts that Jesus told us. This is what where the truth will set us free. It's it's what he told us, and this is what he means by you shall know the truth, and what he means by John 7:38, where it says, "He that cometh unto me out of his innermost being will flow rivers of water." That's he who raises his awareness to realize the truth of what I'm saying and to understand what it actually means. Not that you just come to a physical Jesus, or even a physical Jesus in a geographical sense, that you just come to him, but rather that you raise your awareness to the words that he says, that he's talking about. It's the words that Jesus is saying, and the demonstration and the acts of the things that he's doing that we have to raise our awareness to. It's not a physical coming to; it's a level of awareness, and a level of raising our awareness, and to see what he actually meant by what the words that he is saying. And so, when we do that, then he tells us that out of our innermost being, which means they'll be there in the first place once we raise our awareness to them. And they are already there. We're just not aware of it. When we raise our awareness to realize that all this energy really is really within us, but we're destroying it by our thinking negatively, thinking that it doesn't exist, and thinking that we should not be happy, or that we should not have peace, or that we cannot have joy, or that we have to have down periods. We destroy that. And so we can't raise our awareness to see how solid and immortal it actually is, because we destroy it before we get there. So then the next thing we have to do after we raise our awareness to it, and then raise our level of acceptance to begin to make a capacity to receive what he's saying, the next thing we have to do is we have to exercise that joy and that peace by flowing it out, because what you flow is going to grow. And so the more we get ourselves out of the way, and I mean, really, you just put yourself aside and say, the rivers of living water within me, they're going to flow out. And I'm not going to worry about myself. I'm just going to let those rivers of living water flow. Those rivers of living water are going to become me. The joy, I'm going to become the joy. The joy is going to become me. I'm becoming the energy will become me. I'm divine energy. That's my name, divine energy. My name is divine joy. My name is divine peace. And so you no longer stand in the way of it, and you no longer doubt it, and you no longer question it, and you just begin to let it all flow. And the more you flow, the more it's going to grow, and the more it's going to go and glow. And so out of our innermost being will flow rivers of energy, and then we will have that inexhaustible energy. And regardless of whether you run all the time or what you do, you're going to have it in whatever position you're in. You're going to have that joy. And now it might serve as a point of contact to kind of get you in the frame of mind part to begin to run and to exercise more, but you'll have it regardless. And so those three things we have to do. We have to raise our awareness to see the existence of joy and peace, and then raise our acceptance level to receive these very substantial gifts, realizing how substantial they are. And then 3, we need to exercise our flow of joy and peace, because what we flow is going to grow. What we exercise is going to become stronger. And then number 4, we got to know that out of our innermost being, then when we make way part, it's going to flow rivers of energy. That as we begin to do this, more and more energy is going to flow. It's going to become more and more inexhaustible, and we're going to begin to glow all over, and we're going to begin to flow all over, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow, and become more and more substantial. And so it's a process that we begin to meditate on every day and reflect on every day and allow to grow a little bit more every day. And as we begin to do this, you'll find you'll have very little down periods, and your down periods will be fewer and fewer, and your periods of illness will be fewer and fewer, and your ability to enjoy life will be greater and greater as your energy grows more and more. So I hope you will receive all your manifestations this evening, and grow all this energy, and begin to glow it and grow it, and have a very good and a substantial and energy producing evening. Thank you.